Chapter 13. The Other Side. The door cracked and ground open with a blast of warm air. Although it was made of wood, the door seemed as heavy as a boulder, and Sean pushed forward with all his strength to get it open. As soon as the opening became wide enough, blinding gold sunlight entered the cave, forcing Sean to cover his eyes with one arm. The entrance felt like a wind tunnel, but it quickly died down, as if the pressure in the cave had equalized. His eyes started to adjust, and Sean lowered his arm. He was wonderstruck by what he saw before him. Golden beams of sparkling light stretched across a valley carpeted with bright green grass. There were craggy cliffs beyond and a thick pine forest, all lining the edges of a small town filled with people. The town was situated between an alley of hills stretching from far off to the right, then down to what looked like the center of town on the left, near a dirt road leading off into the trees. Sean nearly collapsed. Can this be real? He asked himself. The houses were built of brick and wood logs, and each had a chimney of some sort. Some iron tubes, some brick rectangles, each blowing puffy white streams into the sky. In the middle of the town he saw people walking back and forth wearing all manner of strange clothing. Some had coarse brown cloth hanging from their shoulders and waists, while others wore magnificent suits and gowns. None looked familiar, and all seemed extravagant. Bright colors or streaming designs that flowed in the wind as they walked. Tall pointy hats and ones made of straw. On the right were a few plots of farmland, all tended by thick burly men and women. Sean could smell a sweet odor drifting along. He could see a few farmers pushing wheelbarrows, and upon closer examination he realized they were all filled with strawberries, most the size of footballs. Sean couldn't believe what he was seeing. An entire world hidden behind a door. It was the last thing he expected to see in the middle of a cave. "This can't be real," he mumbled, feeling his breath run short. Maney stepped over and grabbed him by the shoulder. "Oh, it's real. Now come on." Maney grabbed Sean's hands and backed through the door. Her skin was extremely tingly. "Just a few more steps." Sean stumbled to the edge. There was a river on the other side. He exited the cave and emerged into a cool, misty breeze. To his left was a wide, raging waterfall, flowing into a stream that ran down to his right, all the way to the ocean. A marble bridge had been built across it. Maney released Sean's hands and disappeared behind him. "I can't believe I'm seeing this. How did we get here?" Sean heard a rocky scraping sound behind him, and a lock snapped shut. He looked and saw Maney leaning back first against the stone door they had just exited from. That would be the door's handiwork. Are you even paying attention anymore?" "Why did you shut that?" Maney smiled, her eyes dancing away from Sean's as she pressed off the surface. "I can't just leave the door to a secret world open, now can I?" She walked by Sean, trying to avoid eye contact. "I guess not," he said. "We have a lot to do, so let's hurry." Maney started down the cobblestone path. Sean sighed, then reluctantly followed. Ahead of Maney was the small white marble bridge arcing over the river flowing away from town. Maney stopped once she caught sight of it. "Wait, why is there a bridge here? There's never been a bridge here." She grabbed the smooth marble ball at the top of a post near the end of the short bridge. "No, this can't be here. What's happening?" Sean analyzed her movements and expression carefully. She seemed authentically disturbed. It was strange to imagine that this girl really did die, and for some reason could now walk and talk and breathe. How was he even alive right now? It didn't make sense. Compared to a door hiding an entire world filled with life, it didn't seem so far-fetched anymore. Sean felt almost as disturbed as Maney looked, but he didn't want both of them to be caught in the emotion. He walked past her and over the short bridge, trying to stop her from thinking about the truth. I'm guessing this is the way to go? Mamie stared at Sean, then looked at her hands in an uncertain way. She crossed the bridge, but seemed reluctant to do so. She caught up to Sean and took the lead, marching down the overgrown cobblestone path. Yes, this is the way. As they descended the hill, Sean noticed a stream of horse-pulled carriages and wagons leaving and entering town. The horses that hauled them were massive, with thick tufts of fur that covered their feet like socks. He had seen horses similar to them before in his own world. They were called Clydesdales. What year is it here? Sean asked. Maney looked at Sean, then ahead to the town. It's the year 2245 of the Second Age. Sean realized the timeline here was obviously much different than his own. Are we on a different planet? He asked. Or did we go backwards in time? Neither of those things. It's confusing. You see, the door acts like a gateway. We walk through and can enter a different version of the way things are now. Look at the sun, for example. In your world, it seemed really far away. This one seems like it's just on the edge of the horizon. It's all really hard to explain. I doubt you would understand. Sean was immediately terrified. The implications of what she was saying were massive. We, traveled to a different universe? Maney quickly turned to Sean. Yes, actually. I couldn't remember the word, but that is the term. Universe. I'm surprised you can even comprehend what I'm talking about. You know, you're smarter than you look, kid. With the way things are here, I'm surprised you can understand what you're talking about, Sean said sarcastically. And I'm only 2 years younger than you are. Seriously, quit trying to annoy me. Or else what? You'll run home? Maybe I will. Maney revealed the crystal and dangled it ahead of Sean. Not without this, you won't. Sean reached forward to grab it, but Maney pulled away. No. Really? Really? Maney giggled. I'll take you home once we're finished. Don't worry. She shoved the necklace back inside her pocket. Sean shook his head and tried to ignore her. Ahead, the path began to twist, then it straightened out towards a long dirt highway leading away from town. Maney veered right, leading Sean across empty backyards and between the alleyways of a few houses. The pair emerged into the main street of the town, pressing through a crowd of strangers. So, does that mean that this is Earth? Sean asked. Yes, this is Earth. Maney was looking around the town in a strange way. She seemed deeply worried. Everything is so different, she muttered under her breath. Maney approached the stairs of a tavern. A wood sign hung above the porch. Cozy Mountain Inn. She seemed anxious to get inside. She climbed the stairs, leading Sean by one hand. Is this where we're going? Sean asked. Yes. Be quiet for a second. Maney let go of Sean's hand. She reached out and rubbed her fingers along the wooden frame of the door where black burn marks stretched away in every direction. They stopped just at the edge of the tavern's entrance. Clearly the door had been replaced, but that wasn't what seemed to worry her. It was the age of the burns. Dark green moss grew out of the charcoal-covered cracks, and a smoky color had soaked deep into the wood, giving it a look of old age. Maney focused on a spot where a black pool had stained into the porch long ago. She knelt and felt the surface of the mark with her fingertips. It looked like a hole had been stabbed through the wood at some point, directly in the center of the black pool. Daniel, she softly whispered. Maney jumped to her feet and yanked open the door, leaving Sean alone on the porch. Inside the tavern, Sean could hear sounds of people talking and laughing and glasses clinking together, carried by aromas of hot food. He could smell barbecued chicken, baked potatoes, garlic tomato soup, strong fumes from apple cider and beer, even the scent of chocolate cake, vanilla cookies, and something with bananas. but above all other smells that clung to the air, mouth-watering strawberries. Sean walked to the door, his nausea being replaced with intense hunger. He stepped inside and began looking around a long rectangular building filled with hundreds of people. Tables, chairs, and benches covered every inch of the floor, joined by boots from soldiers and moccasins of barmaids. Townsfolk gossiped and chattered, enjoying hot meals with friends. The room ended in a massive fire spit roasting the biggest hog Sean had ever seen. A bright red apple was stuffed in its mouth for posture. Straight ahead, in front of where Maney stood, was a bar with 4 patrons lined up, sipping and burping from large metal tankards. A staircase led to what looked like rental rooms on the left. Behind the bar was a skinny old man with wispy gray hair. He had his back turned to them. He was stirring a black cauldron of red soup with a wooden ladle, tasting it once in a while for quality. Maney had an intense look in her eyes, like she was staring at a ghost. She watched the man cook in complete silence. Maney's behavior made Sean feel nervous, so he reached out and tugged on her sleeve. "Maney, are you okay?" The old man stopped stirring the soup and stood completely still. He shook his head as if unable to believe what he had just heard, then returned to twirling his spoon like nothing had happened at all. Maney darted her eyes to Sean's and put a finger to her lips. "Don't call me that," she whispered. Maney scanned the tavern to see if anyone had noticed. The old man stopped cooking and turned to the front where Sean and Maney were standing. He and Maney locked eyes, mirroring each other's surprised reaction. The old man removed his glasses, breathed a steamy breath on them, then wiped the lenses against his apron. The whole time he stared directly at Maney, and she stared right back. The old man put his spectacles back over his eyes, then let out a nervous chuckle. "Sorry for the dirty eyes, miss, but you look just like someone I used to know." Maney's mouth popped open. She whispered, "Daniel? Is that you?" The old man's face took on a look of horror as he seemed to realize what she meant. He ruffled his brow in sadness and surprise. "It is you, Maney. Daniel was my father. I'm Arabelle." Maney recoiled, bringing a hand across her mouth. "Arabelle? But you're so old. That can't be you." Arabelle scanned the tavern, beginning to mumble. It's not safe to speak here. Come with me." Arabelle approached a waitress and asked her to watch the bar for a moment. He led Maney and Sean behind the counters and down a set of stairs to the basement. At the bottom, a long hallway was stacked with different types of food. Wheels of many-colored cheeses, spices hanging from drying racks, mounds of bread, even a pair of fat turkeys gobbling inside a cage. The hallway stretched much farther than Sean had expected, leading to rooms marked food storage near the end. Facing Maney, Arabelle sat down on a small stool near the staircase. "Well, this was about the last thing I expected today." Arabelle let out a shaky breath. There was an oil lamp over his shoulder projecting wavy orange light across the hallway. The calm silence made it feel like a passage into the afterlife. Arabelle sat for a moment without saying a word, staring at the floor while Sean and Maney waited. "So, Maney," he finally said, "you don't seem to have aged a day. And when I say that, it's not just flattery, like when people say it to me." Maney seemed confused. Sean had no idea what was happening. "Why are you so old? I don't understand what happened." Arabelle showed a small smile. "That's what time does to us normal folk. You get old. Nothing I can do about that. But don't worry, I'm still young up here." He tapped his temple, still smiling. "How long has it been?" Maney asked. Arabelle scratched his chin. You don't know? Well, it was the year 2245 when you disappeared. The day my father... What happened to Daniel? Mamie seemed on the edge of losing herself. Arabelle swallowed as if he was in a similar mindset. It didn't end well, Mamie. After you, well, took care of those soldiers, more and more came pouring into town. My father was bleeding from that shard of wood, so he told me to go to Svetlana's and just stay there till the morning. I was just a lad, so that's what I did. Arabelle let out another shaky breath. When I came back the next day, he was just lying there, on the porch, with a spear going right through him. A tear dropped to the floor from Arabelle's face. I tried to bring him back, but he was cold. There wasn't anything I could do. I'm sorry, Mamie. The old man stared at the floor in silence, wiping loose tears from his eyes. Mamie, too, was overcome with grief. She had one hand covering her mouth while tears rolled down her knuckles like silent waterfalls. Sean went up beside her, wrapping his arm around her shoulder out of pity. She just wrestled out of his embrace, though. How long ago? Mamie asked. It was in the year 2245. Now it's 2315. So, 70 years ago? His words rang out like a bell tolling in the night. Sean knew Mamie couldn't escape the truth now. I can't believe this is happening, she said. Arabelle stared at Mamie as if he himself didn't understand. What happened to you, Mamie? After you went through that door and never came back? Mamie stared at the ground for a long moment without saying anything. Finally, after a deep sigh, she looked at Arabelle and said, I died.